One of the biggest misconceptions that I see from people is that they have to leave their current industry behind to work in data. But that's not true because data is not an industry, it's a layer that exists across every industry. Early in my career, I didn't even realize I was working with data. I was solving problems, I was building analysis, I was answering questions, and I was trying to figure out why numbers didn't match across the organization. But I just did not have the language at the time for it yet. I've had the opportunity to work across healthcare, government, behavioral health, pharmaceuticals, and corporate corporations. And the one thing that really stood out to me is that all of those industries were different, but the data problems that I experienced in those spaces was the same. With that experience, every team was asking some variation of like, what's happening? Why is it happening? What should we do next? At its core, that's analytics. I remember in my very first role, I was being asked to investigate why two reports were essentially telling two completely different stories, using quote unquote supposedly the same data. At the time, it just felt like I was problem solving or doing my job. But I look back in hindsight now, and that's essentially data analysis. If you have ever traced performance, identified trends, scheduled resources, monitored outcomes, or created reports or made decisions using that information, I got news for you. That's data analysis. And you've already been functioning in that space and you've already been leveraging data. When people fully move into analytics, it isn't about starting over. I never promote people to start. You're essentially learning how to formalize what you've already been doing using tools like Excel, SQL, or Power BI. And honestly, that's why I teach the way I do because most people really don't need to become someone new. The gap that I consistently see is that people need help translating the experience that they already have into language that organizations recognize and are interested in scaling. So I said all that to say you're not starting from scratch. You're essentially learning to see your experience differently and in a new light.